What's up, everybody? Welcome back into another episode of The Lawyer You Know. We're on day 6, start of week number 2 in the Brian Walshe trial. And we got the first glimpse of the defense trying to push their theory and theme of the case to the jury. Will the jury buy it? Do they understand what the defense is doing? And does this kind of set the stage for a potential defense that does not include Brian Walshe taking the stand? I will give you my thoughts on whether or not I think that's going to happen, whether or not I think it's a good or bad idea, how I think it will end up if they go that route based on what they've already done in the trial. And then plus some not exciting or overly impassioned videos played of Brian Walshe today, but I think they could be really, really important evidence to the jury, real evidence of what actually happened to Anna Walshe, in a way that I'm not sure other evidence that's been presented so far has proven a fact, at least in my mind. You guys can tell me if I'm crazy again, because maybe I am. Make sure you guys hit that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to our page. Let's get to it. All right. So we are starting back with the medical examiner. And we are going to jump in basically at cross. And this is where the defense is going to start pushing the sudden death, right? Unexpected death of a young, healthy person. How does this possibly happen? Is it possible? Why would something like this happen? Can you explain it? Is it something that you expect? How do you deal with it in the medical field? Is it a real thing? Is it a phenomenon? And from my perspective, it was my dad and I talked about this on the podcast, and I said I wouldn't do it through this witness. He said he thinks they're going to. He was right. He was right that they were going to. I think I was right that I would not have done it with this witness. I don't think this witness was as helpful as Brian Walshe and his team thought they might be. And I'll explain kind of why, especially if they're planning on using this as their only door to this sudden unexpected death. Let's take a listen.
It also specifically includes a requirement that you investigate sudden death, correct?
Correct.
And it requires that you investigate sudden death when the decedent was in apparent good health, correct?
Correct.
And that phrase that I just used, sudden death of the decedent who was in apparent good health, that is contained in the statute that applies to the Office of Chief Medical Examiner, isn't it?
I believe so, yes.
And
I think it's funny too, because listen, we've given this lawyer some flowers and some credit on a lot of his crosses. This I do not. I don't think anything that the defense team did today was very powerful at cross-examining or picking apart any of these prosecution witnesses. And I thought this was a better day in my mind, maybe, than some other people. You guys let me know how you thought this was presented by the prosecutor, but I thought this was one of the worst crosses of the entire trial, personally.
so the statute and what you do as a medical examiner, you have to investigate where there is a suspicion or information that suggests that someone suddenly died, correct?
Correct.
And specifically where somebody suddenly died that otherwise looked like they were in good health, correct?
Correct.
And that statute requires that certain people, like police officers, physicians, hospital administrators, licensed nurses, DCF social workers, funeral directors, they are required by that statute to report that information to the Office of Chief Medical Examiner, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Or they could be fined under the statute, right?
I don't know that for sure, but I'll take your word for it.
Okay, thank you. So now turning to just manner of death. Manner of death can be, and please correct me if I'm wrong, manner of death can be classified as accident, correct?
Correct.
Suicide, right? That is pointing to one manner of death, is no more compelling than one or more competing manners of death after considering all the information you have.
That is correct.
So you are familiar, aren't you, Dr. Atkinson, with the National Association of Medical Examiners?
Yes.
Sometimes it goes by the acronym of NAME, M-A-M-E.
Correct.
You're also familiar with their 2002 publication, A Guide for the Manner of Death Classification, correct?
Yes.
And it's that particular document is kept at the Office of Chief Medical Examiner, isn't it? Like it is in many offices, correct?
It's on the internet. That's where I usually look at it.
So it's available to look at for medical examiners when they're just reviewing some of the material that's in that 2002 publication.
Yes.
It also lists specifically those 4 manner of deaths that we just talked about.
Yes. And others.
I'm sorry, I cut you off.
And others too.
And others. And then that.
So tell me in the chat, and I'll give you my thought once I read some of yours. Why do you think this witness, this medical examiner, feels so confident and not arguing back and forth with the defense lawyer? Because as we've said in the past, some of these really good witnesses, sometimes they just seem too much. Like, especially like the medical examiner should not be biased. You shouldn't be arguing with the lawyer. He's not. He's answering his questions with no fear at all. No trepidation, like, am I going to blow the prosecution's case? I don't want to screw this up. I don't want to be the reason a guilty man that killed his wife goes free. He has none of that fear in his eyes or in his answers. Why do you think that is?
Guide goes through anecdotal, or it's my word, not yours, but it goes through examples of what types of causes of death may result in certain manners, correct?
Correct.
And a cause of death is different than a manner, isn't it?
Yes.
And so as your role of medical examiner, you will not only determine the manner of death, but you also will attempt to determine the cause of death.
Right.
And some of that information finds its way specifically in, for instance, a death certificate applicable to some individual, correct?
Yes.
It's very important to evaluate all the information you have before reaching a conclusion as to manner of death and causation, correct?
Correct.
And is it fair to say, doctor, that without a physical body, the Office of Chief Medical Examiner cannot make a finding of either manner of death or cause of death?
Without what? Sorry.
With a body, with a
Without a
physical
body?
body.
Generally, we don't do that. No.
Okay.
Okay. So here are the 2 main reasons I think he's so confident. And a lot of you got one of them. Number 1, he is a doctor. He understands how this works. He understands how medicine works. He understands how autopsies work. He understands how stupid of an argument this is. The fact that you made the body disappear is not, you're not going to trick this jury into thinking, oh, well, that's why we have to find him not guilty. It's not in these circumstances whatsoever. So that's number 1. Number 2 is he has been prepared by the state, by the Commonwealth, celebration for the Commonwealth actually preparing. He has been prepared for what's coming on redirect. The Commonwealth did not touch this on direct. They did not discuss sudden unexpected death. They didn't discuss, the fact that there was no body necessarily and how that would change all the analysis. He has been prepared for what is coming on redirect, and the defense walked right into it. On one hand, it feels like a trap by the Commonwealth. They just set it up perfectly to give the defense enough rope, right? And they know what to do with it. But on the other hand, even if the defense didn't do it, they didn't need to go there. But the defense walked right into it. Building said, does the jury know Brian Walshe has pled guilty to dismembering and disposing of her body? They don't know that he pled guilty to it, but the defense is not fighting that he did exactly what all these witnesses are testifying to. Like the guy that came up today and was like, yep, there's DNA on this, there's blood on this. We tested it, presumptive positive test on the snips, on the hacksaw, on the hatchet, blood. They're not really fighting any of that. And when we get there, I guess I can just say it now. It's interesting because the defense can sit back and be like, none of this is even bad for us because we admit to all of this. So go ahead, put this evidence up. It doesn't bother us. It's not bad for us. It's like, it is bad for you. Now, the fact that you're not fighting it because of some strategy, fine, but that is bad for you. That's very, very bad for you. No, he was prepped for redirect. That's what I'm saying. He is prepped for redirect, which is coming after cross. When we listen to the redirect, you'll see what I mean. This is a perfect setup for what the Commonwealth is going to do in redirect. And he was prepared that this may be coming and be ready for these questions. He is so ready when the Commonwealth comes up with their redirect questions. None of this is a surprise to him, in my opinion.
Now, that 2002 guidelines, and it's current. In other words, there hasn't
I meant blood, not DNA. I meant blood. Okay, you guys are real sticklers. I mean blood. When he came up and said, yes, there's blood on this, blood on that.
been a new issue. It's still current and it's published in 2002, correct?
Correct.
It does include, like you said, examples of causes of death, and then tries to tell the reader, this is an example of a cause of death that could be considered a certain manner of death, correct?
Yes.
And I think it goes through, if you recall, multiple paragraphs, up to like 44, 46 different paragraphs of examples, correct?
Correct.
And It actually includes things like characterized as cafe coronary, upper airway food obstruction, correct?
Correct.
It goes through,
So now he's going to go through all sorts of ways somebody could die unexpectedly. And it's like, okay. Okay, yeah, that's one way, that's one way, that's one way. But so many of these different ways you can test for. Joanne said, Peter, welcome home. Maybe he's done this before many times. I highly doubt that there have been many cases where there was no body and the defendant admitted to dismembering and getting rid of the body, and then he was called as a witness. I don't think there's a lot of that. Now, he's probably testified many times. He's probably testified in multiple cases that there was no body, but not quite like this. I would hazard a guess.
gives an example of death by fear or fright, right?
Correct.
It includes
Death by fear or fright. Okay.
an explanation of death resulting from autoerotica behavior or consensual atypical sexual behavior, correct?
Correct.
And it goes on to say, just as an example, specific to that cause of death, autoerotic behavior, it talks about that causation as being, in large part, considered accidental death.
Specifically autoerotic asphyxia. Yes.
Okay, autoerotic asphyxia. Can you tell the jurors what asphyxia is?
Asphyxia is anytime oxygen is deprived from parts of the body. In the case of autoerotic asphyxia, it's due to a ligature compressing the neck vasculature or the blood vessels in the neck.
Now, I just want to talk to you for just a little bit about some of the causes that are considered to be causes of sudden unexpected death. We can agree, can't we, that sudden unexpected death is a rare occurrence?
Sure.
Well, is it?
It's like, he's like, sure. And the defense was like, well, wait, is it not rare? That's good. And then the defense is going to fix it. This was really bad, in my opinion. This is really bad. Because I think the defense attorney was anticipating him arguing with him saying, yeah, it's rare, but I don't think this guy cares to argue about this sudden unexpected death thing.
Is it rare, or does it happen more often than
Any
rare?
possible cause? It's pretty rare, I would say. Sure.
Okay, and there's any number of causes of sudden unexpected death, isn't there?
Very many, yes.
Okay, and those causes for sudden unexpected death, they are known within the forensic pathology world, aren't they?
Yes.
And are they known to a lesser extent in the non-forensical medical arena?
Sure.
And it's fair to say that based on your experience and training and knowledge of sudden unexpected death, you wouldn't expect that just a layperson would really understand sudden unexpected death. That is the parlance of educated people like yourself.
Overruled. He can answer if he can.
I'm not totally sure what you mean.
He's like, lay people wouldn't understand it. It's more of an expert thing. I think he's trying to make the jury think, well, maybe that is what happened here, and I just don't fully understand it. I think that's what he's trying to do, which is fine. If it's something that's difficult for people to grasp, and you know it's hard to believe, which is what he said in opening, he's trying to get the jury to understand that, like, you need to think twice about this before you just dismiss it, which I don't think is a bad strategy, but I also don't think is going to happen. Peter, would you have objected to this line of questioning on relevance? I may have objected to it that there's no good faith basis. There's no facts and evidence to ask this line of questioning because I think this all should happen after Brian Walshe testifies, if he's going to testify. But maybe the Commonwealth's just like unafraid of this line of questioning. That would also be my guess.
People understand certain causes of death.
Okay, what about in the specific area of sudden unexpected death?
Depends on the cause of death. I think most people understand what injuries are. Most people understand what a heart attack is.
Okay, you would agree that sudden
It's like, well, if you're talking about heart attack or stroke, those are sudden and unexpected a lot of times, and people understand that.
unexpected death can occur then as a result of cardiac causes,
Yes.
pulmonary causes,
Yes.
of vascular causes,
Yes.
reflexive causes,
Yes.
of asphyxial causes,
Correct.
and even toxicology causes.
Yes.
And sudden unexpected death has been observed to occur both in young people and old people,
Sure.
and middle-aged people.
All types of
It occurs male and female.
yes.
And there's some causes associated with sudden unexpected death that may be seen in experience that they occur more in the male population than the female population.
Yes.
One of that,
Again, this is him. I think he's very prepared. Tipton, the defense attorney. I think he's anticipating some cross. but I just think he's going on a level of detail the Commonwealth doesn't feel like they need to go on. So I think he's like prepared for, well, they're going to say it's more common in male than female. They're like, no, bro, this is like so outlandish that we're not even going to go with those details. But the defense is putting out there all these things that's going to diminish the jury's thought of this throughout. How rare it is, how hard it is to understand, how little you see this, especially in healthy people and more common in men than women, all things that are bad for his case.
One of those sudden unexpected death causations is the Brugada syndrome, correct?
Correct.
And without going into any great detail, the Brugada system is simply where somebody reportedly, and correct me if I'm wrong, basically lies in bed and dies and then utters something.
I don't think that's necessary. It's a channelopathy. That's a usually genetic mutation, or a mutation that you get from your parents that affects the ion channels in the heart, and it predisposes someone to a sudden arrhythmia. An arrhythmia is just an electrical disturbance of the heart.
All right. And
It doesn't have to happen at night, and I don't know about the utterance part.
okay, I apologize. In any event, sudden unexpected death can occur in individuals that otherwise appear to be healthy before the sudden death.
Yes.
And in fact, that's one of the references we've already talked about within the statute that we just talked about a minute ago. Sudden death occurring in someone that otherwise didn't have any manifestation of a physical illness or problem.
Correct.
And it's fair to say that based on your knowledge of sudden unexpected death, that it also occurs, sometimes the sudden death itself can be the first manifestation that somebody had a problem.
Correct.
And there are certain triggers associated with sudden unexpected death, and those triggers can include exertion, physical exertion.
I'm confused. Are you talking about any kind of sudden unexpected death, including
I'm talking about it as,
injuries? You can die unexpectedly and suddenly from almost any type of cause of death.
okay.
So Chris, I saw you ask this question. Peter, isn't a cause of unexpected death M by your spouse? Yeah. And that's why I like this witness. I thought he was great. I thought he was really smart, which is not rocket science, since in fact he is a medical examiner. But I thought he was really, really smart to say, well, hold on a second. A car crash is a sudden unexpected death. M by your spouse would be a sudden unexpected death. And so that's why he made the defense attorney clarify, because there are probably some jurors thinking like you and Joanne. Maybe an unexpected death that he pushed her off the bed. And Ms. Vicky said he keeps leaving out the word unexplained. Wonder why? Unproven, right? Like, how are we proving that this is an unexpected sudden death? Who's proving that?
When I'm asking you these questions, and if I'm not doing a good job, you correct me, but I'm talking about, for instance, sudden unexpected death where there is really no prior manifestation of a physical problem.
And then he's like, thank you for clarifying. Listen, I'm not hating on a lawyer for trying. I give my honest assessment if I think something's working or not from a lawyer's point of view. And again, I have thought a lot of his cross actually has been good in winning some on the margin. Some of you guys disagree with me on that. That's fine. Today was a rough day, in my opinion, for the defense attorney, defense lawyering.
Before someone experiences sudden unexpected death.
Are you talking about a natural cause of death?
A natural, yes, not a death.
Because the medical examiner is like, you're not picking up what I'm putting down. I think what you mean is natural cause of death.
Resulting from anything other than something natural and internal. Yes.
Okay. And what was the question again? Sorry.
So a sudden unexpected death, given that characterization, the trigger for such a sudden unexpected death can include physical exertion, correct?
Yes.
But it also can occur without any particular physical exertion, correct?
Correct.
And it can include, for instance, in trained athletes who have been trained to do sports. It happens there too, correct?
Yes.
And it can happen as a result of sexual activity, for instance.
Correct.
And it can happen as a result of illness or stress, correct?
Correct.
And I mean, it can happen, if you know, sir, it can happen as a result of travel or extended travel or things like that in a person.
Sure.
Now, it's true, isn't it, doctor, that when we use the phrase sudden unexpected death, the death that we're talking about, and once again, and I'm glad you corrected me, that we're talking about just natural death, natural causes, that a sudden unexpected death can happen suddenly, but not necessarily instantaneously, correct?
Depending on which type of disease would cause it, yes.
So, for instance,
Again, this is like, to me, he's making it more confusing than it is necessary. San Fran said, I know he pled guilty to disposing of her body, but did he actually admit to dismembering it? It was the unlawful, I think, conveyance of a body or disposal of a body. And because he's not going to argue he disposed of her body, he is not going to argue that he did not dismember her body. That's locked and loaded. If he takes the stand, he's going to have to admit to that with 100% certainty. There's no way he's going to try to quibble and deny that. That would just be a total mess if he actually did.
That example you talked about.
And if you notice, they're not really arguing with all of those tools that's not what they were for.
If someone develops in a natural way a lethal arrhythmia, an example of a ventricular fibrillation, it could result in death, correct?
Yes.
And that mechanism, I'm going to call it a mechanism, but you tell me if it's different, that the heart chambers quiver and they fluctuate, and that's what causes the fibrillation, right?
I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. They get like really into the weeds. We're just going to jump a couple minutes up.
You can have movement, seizure-like activity, but usually you're not looking like a normal person would.
Okay.
It's very quick.
And sometimes in your experience as a medical examiner, you've had reports where people talk about the minutes before or the short time period before someone experienced sudden death, and they talk about the way they were moving or they were even walking, but they might have been mumbling, and then they die. And they describe those behaviors to you, don't they?
Occasionally we'll get something like that reported to us.
Okay. And you listen to that information, and being the trained medical examiner you are, then you consider that information in the context of the sudden unexpected death. You just include the information because you are interested in getting all the information you can.
Correct.
And once again, sudden unexpected death can result from vascular catastrophes. That's my word.
Sure.
And those catastrophes can be aorta dissection, aorta rupture, or an aneurysm, correct?
Among many others, yes.
And this sudden unexpected death in this area can be the result of acute squeezing of a particular body part.
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
In medical terms, tamponade?
A cardiac tamponade?
Yes.
Cardiac tamponade happens when there's bleeding into the pericardium. That's the sac, a membranous sac that surrounds the heart. And when enough blood gets into that sac, it displaces the thought.
It's accurate.
So Nana said he's just pounding the phrase into the juror's head. Okay, I don't think it's a good strategy, in my opinion. Tipton is over anticipating here. I think feels like digging a hole rather than an explanation. I agree, and even the explanations are like, I think Tipton actually thinks this is good. Like he's like, oh yeah, let him explain how complicated this is when the blood enters the chambers of the heart and things like. I'm like, that's not a winning argument here. I get that he thinks it's the best defense he can have. I think the more I hear this sudden unexpected death argument, I think a better defense would have just been, you can't prove that he did it, number one. And if the jury does believe that he did it, you can't prove it was intentional, number two. I just feel the whole, like, they can't prove this beyond a reasonable doubt because we don't know what happened except for what we're admitting happened. That would probably be unsuccessful as well. But I think that would have been a better defense than what they're going with. And you wouldn't have to call Brian Walshe to the stand. It is sus that if what the defense is proposing, the natural response is to dismember and dispose of AW. Yes, but even more so, I've got some more thoughts on this based on some of the other videos they played today. Matt Chapman, thank you for gifting 5 Lawyer You Know memberships.
To say that sudden unexpected death with a normal heart autopsy accounts for 5 to 10% of young adult sudden deaths.
Of natural deaths?
Of natural deaths, yes, sir.
Yes.
And see, Tipton's using some words like where he's like of sudden deaths. And he's like, well, natural deaths, again, not unexpected car accidents or wrongful death cases or criminal cases, homicides, like not including that. It would be a smaller percentage. So if natural deaths, 5 to 10%, still a good question from Tipton, I think, because that's when Tipton talked about how rare they were. I was not thinking 10%. Up to 10% is like way more than I was expecting. How Tipton was downplaying it to start about how unusual this is. Giovanna said, do we know anything more about their kids? Anna's mom mentioned in Serbian news that she doesn't have contact with them. Are they with some family, considering Anna doesn't have any within the U.S.? I have heard they're in state custody, but that's just something I've heard, no confirmation of that. I honestly do not know the answer to this. I'm sure somebody in the chat does, though.
And now I'm not going to get this one right, but are you familiar with the acronym of CPVT?
No.
that up? Thank you. Amorphic ventricular tachycardia. I said it wrong again, but
That's probably another dysrhythmia
okay.
or
He's
tachycardia.
literally just throwing stuff out now that he doesn't even know what it is, asking this guy to define it. I think the jury gets it. Like, she could have had a heart attack, you know? She could have had a stroke. The jury, I think, understand, like, who doesn't know somebody that unexpectedly dropped dead? And it's a part of life, right? We have broken bodies that are not perfect. The problem with that for the defense attorney and driving this point home to me today, this is one of the few things I feel like is clicking in my brain that's not good for the defense today, that I think has already clicked for a lot of you, because trying to stay as open-minded as possible and give everybody the benefit of the doubt and listen to these arguments and listen to this defense as they present it. But the problem with everybody sitting on the jury that knows somebody, I had a dear close friend, elder at my church who I loved, who was a larger-than-life guy, super like fit, strong cop, like a cop's cop, exactly who you think of, who literally died instantly, suddenly of natural causes. It was brutal, okay? That was like a friend of mine, not my wife, okay? All of us, and you in the chat can agree or disagree with me, think to someone you know that died suddenly. How did you react? What were your immediate next steps? What was the next thing you Googled? Probably had nothing to do with that, but if it did, what did it sound like or look like? What were you doing in the days following? What was your demeanor? And does any of that line up with Brian Walsh's demeanor, testimony, actions, searches, etc., etc., etc.? That's the problem. The problem is any of us who have had this experience have also had the experience of reacting to it. And now we're supposed to believe that this is what Brian Walsh did.
Is a fast heartbeat.
Now, once again, in these types of causes of sudden unexpected death, in each one that we've just briefly described, in each one of the cases, the person who then experiences sudden death can be viewed in the moments, whether it be minutes or a few minutes or seconds, they can be viewed by someone observing them as still moving or at times even talking until death results, correct?
Correct.
Whatever.
And there are neurological causes for sudden unexpected death, correct?
Sure.
And they are arrhythmia linked. Am I right in saying that? They're linked to arrhythmias.
It can be.
And they're linked to hemorrhaging and stroke and things like that.
Sure.
And people can experience sudden unexpected death as a result of a neurological cause where they have, up to that point, not manifested any physical manifestation of illness, correct?
Correct.
Once again, moving on, there's pulmonary causes of sudden unexpected death, aren't there?
Yes.
And for instance, massive pulmonary embolism is the leading cause of sudden unexpected death in young adults, isn't it?
It's one of them, yes.
And this is one of those causes of death that can result from one of the triggers, including recent travel, right?
That's one of them, yes.
Hormonal therapy?
Yes.
So now he's going to try to get into it again. I don't blame him for this. This is smart. This is fine. He's going to try to get into maybe some of the things that you can relate to Anna Walsh, like traveling a lot or being stressed or even working out, as sometimes people experience sudden unexpected death after doing these things. But I think the Commonwealth does a really good job rebutting these. Michelle said, Tipton be like, so you're saying there's a chance? I guess there is a chance, but, and you know, I like to give the benefit of the doubt, the presumption of innocence. But when you admit to disposing of the body, and then you look to the fact that the body doesn't exist anymore as your main indicator, as just trust me, bro, even though I admit to fraud and admit to lying to the police, that's usually not a winning recipe. Angel said, not saying I think he's innocent, just say you cannot judge how someone responds to a death. Your own reactions can surprise you. And Angel, if this was all there was, I completely agree with you. I completely agree with you. I'm not saying that you take this and this is it and you sink him. I'm saying this is helping us add context to so much of the circumstantial evidence that's been presented in the case. And to act like this doesn't exist and this is not how jurors think, I think is not really a way that is helpful to understand our jury system and what the likely results are and how we get there.
And just moving on to two more examples, and we talked about it. There are also asphyxial causes of sudden and unexpected death, correct?
Correct.
Those asphyxial causes of sudden unexpected death, sometimes they're characterized as, they happen when someone is hanging or experiencing strangulation. Is that fair to say?
That is one cause of asphyxia, yes.
But asphyxia can be caused by a positional obstruction, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell the jury what a positional obstruction is in this context?
That would be something that either blocks your face so you can't breathe, or something that sometimes in a car accident will, or a better example, anything that if you have a heavy weight on your torso, sometimes that keeps you from being able to expand your lungs. This kind of death is called positional asphyxia.
I see. And is it the result of,
We learned a lot about positional asphyxia in Sarah Boone's case.
as part of the mechanism for this is hypoxia results?
That's what happens, yes.
And the hypoxia, could you tell the jury what hypoxia is?
Hypoxia is just lack of oxygen.
And I'm not going to say it right, but I'll try. Vagal reflex pathway, a cause for sudden unexpected death?
Sure.
And that's also related to a form of asphyxia or compression stress?
It can be.
It can be. And can you just tell the jury briefly what the mechanism for that is?
A vagal, that usually causes a cardiac dysrhythmia as well.
Okay, and can that occur when there is some pressure on the vagal nerve?
Yes.
And where is the vagal nerve?
The vagus nerve is in the neck and upper portion of the chest.
So if something is putting pressure on the neck of an individual, that could result in this vagal reflex pathway or vaginal reflex issue that could result in sudden unexpected death.
Sure.
And that sudden unexpected death in that situation can occur, once again, in someone that simply has not manifested any physical problems to the observer.
Right, until the pressure is put on their neck.
Okay.
Sure.
And Dr. Atkinson,
Scotty said, how would you rate the lawyering in this case so far? So I guess I'll do it as a team. I would give the prosecution team right now a C+, B-. I would give the defense team a B+. I think the lawyering on the defense team has generally been better than the prosecutor. And I'm sure people are going to disagree with that. I don't know if I can overstate how much easier it is to be a prosecutor than it is a criminal defense attorney. You get to choose what cases you go forward on. You have all the cards. You have all the resources. You have all the leverage. If you don't like a charge, you can change it. If you think you overcharged in the middle of the trial, you can start going for lesser included. It is so much easier to be a prosecutor, especially in a case like this, than a defense attorney. So that's how I would grade them personally.
you know Dr. Mindy Hull, don't you?
Yes, I do.
And she is presently the chief medical examiner of the Office of Chief Medical Examiner?
Correct.
I didn't say that right, but and you're familiar with the fact that she has in fact presented to your colleagues at the Office of Chief Medical Examiner on causations involving and resulting in sudden unexpected death. Aren't you?
Yes.
And so this topic of sudden unexpected death, you can find it in the research and you can find it in the experience of trained and professional medical examiners like yourself.
Of course.
So just to conclude, we can all agree, isn't it, that sudden unexpected death is rare, correct? Maybe I'm overstating that. I'm sorry.
People die suddenly quite often, but depending on what parameters.
And he said it like 50 times. It's like, buddy, you already said it to start. Why did you have to bring it up again? I don't get it. I don't get why he would bring it up again. Ashak said, Peter, would you even bother calling this witness? An ME seems kind of pointless without a body autopsy. Generally, I think his direct was like, bleh. But this is why you call him if you're the Commonwealth. Let the defense step in this and then wait till you hear the redirect and let me know if you still wonder why they ever called this witness.
You're talking about in a young person that has no medical history? Yes, it's rare.
Okay. It's rare for someone without medical history. I
also like how the medical examiner keeps like adding context to where he's making it very clear that all of his answers are generalizations. They're not about Anna Walsh.
You see it more often in the forensic setting than, say, someone sees it in just a non-forensic setting. Is that fair to say? Because that's part of your job.
Yes.
And it occurs in individuals who otherwise have never manifested any medical problem.
It can.
Thank you, doctor. Thank you very much.
Any redirect?
So by the way, the Commonwealth has not redirected every witness. And most of the redirects are very short if they redirect them at all. This one they were prepared and ready for, and it's not just 10 seconds.
Right ahead.
Doctor, regarding the vagal reflex pathway and sudden unexpected deaths that result in that, how common is that in a healthy adult female with no medical history?
It depends on, definitely not common at all, but
And in this case that you were working on, what evidence did you see of someone suffering from an injury to the vagal reflex pathway?
there was no evidence.
What evidence did you see of this sudden unexpected death? Because that's what autopsies are for, sir. So let's talk about what you found and what evidence you have of anything the defense attorney just said.
Someone suffering from an injury to the vagal reflex pathway.
There was no evidence at all in this case
And
of any type of death,
okay,
or at least there was no body to autopsy.
so that's kind of a follow-up question to that. There's no body to autopsy. What would you have looked at in the body if you were looking for, say, an issue with the vagal reflex?
Well, something like a cardiac channelopathy can't be diagnosed at autopsy, but it's a diagnosis of exclusion that we only ever would put on a death certificate because it's so rare. If we did a full autopsy that excluded injuries, that excluded toxicology as a possible cause of death, that excluded all the far more likely causes of natural death, like pulmonary embolism or heart disease. So without doing an autopsy to exclude all those things, a sudden arrhythmia disorder is at the very bottom of the list of possibilities.
What would you have looked at in a case to determine if someone died of hypoxia? In an autopsy, what would you have looked at?
That totally depends on what's causing the hypoxia. If it's a hanging or a strangulation, you would look for injuries of the neck, a ligature furrow on the neck. Other types of hypoxia would have other types of findings.
What would you look at during an autopsy to diagnose a pulmonary embolism?
You can actually see the pulmonary embolism. It's a clot that usually comes from the leg veins and goes into the pulmonary arteries. And you can see that inside of the pulmonary arteries.
What would you look at during an autopsy to diagnose some neurological cause of death?
Other than sometimes seizures that have no findings at autopsy, you could see bleeding around the brainstem that is a subarachnoid hemorrhage from a burst aneurysm, for example.
And when you do an autopsy, how do you see the bleeding around the brainstem?
You can just see it with your eyes and take photographs of it.
You earlier described a cardiac tamponade. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. And again, that was bleeding into the pericardial sac.
Yes.
Would that be painful?
It can be painful.
Now, with this matter, what access did you have to determine a manner of death regarding this case, which was 23, forgive me, let me make sure I get your number right. Regarding case 230493, what did the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner have access to determine a cause of death?
We did not determine a cause or manner of death
And why didn't you determine the cause or manner of death?
because we had no body to autopsy.
Ding, ding, ding. That's the important part. Reality True Crime said, lawyer, I'm confused. Some of the law tubers are saying he did not admit to dismembering, but most agree he did. He admitted to technically disposal of a body or unlawful conveyance of a body, I think is what the crime is actually called. So admitting to that, and we have to, like, we're living in reality, okay? Technicalities and reality, sometimes technicalities are more important than others when we're talking about what's being presented to a jury. He has admitted, not to the jury, but to the judge, of unlawful conveyance of a body. They have presented all of the evidence of the hacksaws and the blood on this and the blood on that. We have seen videos of him taking individual trash bags and throwing them in a dumpster, not a body-sized bag. So for him to admit to unlawful disposal or conveyance of a body and then to try and argue he did not dismember her is never going to be successful, ever. Hopefully that cleared up that question. Claims of sudden death make me angry because Walsh made it impossible for Anna to have an autopsy, yet he claims to know, right? That's the, like, I'm sorry, like, if I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that, I don't think the jury is. I really don't think the jury is going to give him the benefit of the doubt on that.
With these sudden unexpected deaths that were reviewed with you, does someone have to have a physical injury in order for these to come on?
Yeah.
So these can occur without a physical injury.
Yes.
And when you've had access to autopsies to make these findings, have you ever seen a sudden unexpected death where there were no injuries?
Yes.
Moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you, Your Honor. Doctor, you reviewed when you have access to a body for an autopsy, what do you get access to as far as medical records?
We investigate where the person might have ever gone for medical care, sometimes from family members that will tell us, and we request records from all of those places. If we don't know that information, we sometimes send out a blind request to a lot of hospitals in the area.
And with some of these sudden unexpected deaths, do you also get access to statements of people who see the decedent right before they die?
Yes.
And so does that help you with the diagnosis?
Yes, it does.
And did you have any access to any statements regarding Ms. Walsh before she died?
No.
With these sudden unexpected deaths that were reviewed through you, pulmonary, neurological, and the rest, how common are they with a healthy adult female?
How old is this?
39 years old?
They're very uncommon.
And on the effect of travel, there was some discussion of the effect of travel. And how would travel affect someone as far as a sudden unexpected death?
And this was really important to touch on as the Commonwealth. And I think they did a really good job because we heard how much she traveled back and forth from DC and Boston, right? So when the jury hears, oh, travel can affect that. And, everybody here thinks about like blood clots. And I don't know if everybody does. I think about that. I was like, okay, that can make a good point. But he does a really great job of smashing that door closed.
Generally, that refers to travel being a risk factor for pulmonary emboli or deep venous thrombosis, DVTs of the leg. And it usually occurs in very long flights where the person doesn't get up and move their legs.
How common is it in a flight, say that's 90 minutes?
Less common than a longer flight.
I like this guy. I like this, Emmy.
Nothing further wrong.
And then I think the defense at some point says, well, she flew to Colorado recently or something like that. Like she had a long flight at some point. Okay, so that was the medical examiner. Then we go through a couple Tishman Speyer employees that talk about how, she was a fine employee. The Cross, he tries to get into complaints about Anna. Again, it fell completely flat to me. I did not think it was a very good cross. Anna never discussed divorce. She worked long hours sometimes, I guess. Brian never called to change her benefits. That was maybe the one good point he got with the first person that was like the HR manager. Then we get the crime scene lab guy back who goes through more items in the dumpster. Tishman Speyer, chief security officer, how he tried to coordinate and find Anna. More of the just like gross lies told by Brian Walshe, how he was pretending to, look for her. Then we had Walgreens employee, Lowe's employee, CVS employee, Stop and Shop employee, all come and testify. Here's the video, show the video. We're going to look at a couple video clips. And then we had the MSP crime lab person who did blood or trace materials. And he said, this has blood on it. That has blood on it. The hacksaw, the hammer was an interesting one to me. Hammer had blood on it, I believe. And then there was hair, some human hair, some animal hair. The slippers were really kind of eerie to look at. To me, one of the just the creepiest things to look at by itself was the Tyvek suit. Like that to me, the planning and preparation that went into it's like, okay, good luck arguing you didn't dismember her body. Good luck. Go ahead. Good luck. But from my perspective, I thought this was all very eerie to go through. And we are going to play a couple of the videos, and I'm going to tell you something that clicked in my brain that probably already has for you. Heather, how many husbands have cut up and thrown away their wives who did M them? Or did you mean did not M them? Hopping off. Thanks for your lawyering. All right, Ryder Kitty. Peace out. We will see you later. Daybreak. It sounds like he is offering ways he might have ended her. Tamponade. Did he shoot or stab? Vagal. Did he strangle? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of dig into that. You guys can kind of discuss what you think they were trying to do there. So after the medical examiner, one question still remains. Do you still think Brian Walshe is going to testify? And so my perspective on this was from the jump with this theory of defense and with the specific statements and claims made in the opening statement, I believe very strongly that he has to testify. That has to be your strategy in the case. Then I also thought he mentioned he was going to call an expert, but maybe he was just going to use this ME as an expert. And that's something I didn't necessarily plan for. So I think that's possible. But I would argue if I was the Commonwealth that they can't bring their own expert unless Brian Walshe takes a stand and there is facts for their expert to testify about. That this is what it would look like if somebody died unexpectedly. Yes, they'd be able to roll out of bed, or they'd be stiff or not breathing or look a certain way, whatever it may be. Yes, they'd be able to bleed or they wouldn't be able to bleed depending on how they died. Okay, so as we sit here right now, do I still think Brian Walshe is going to testify? There were some, I would say, a little early calls or too soon to tell for some I told you so's. Maybe a little early for that. You probably know who you are. I just happened to see that pop up on my Twitter. I thought it was funny. Do I think they're still going to call Brian Walshe? My answer is yes. Yes, I still think they're going to call Brian Walshe. And yes, I think it's going to go tragically bad for him. But if somehow he presents great, the jury loves him or feels bad for him or believes that he actually didn't do it or loves his wife, which many people have come and testified that it really seemed like they loved each other. So can he convince the jury of that? That's a question I have. I doubt it, but it's possible. I think they have a literal 0.00% chance of winning if he doesn't take the stand. I think it will be a quick and easy guilty verdict, even potentially on first-degree intentional homicide, which many of you, I think, have a great question. I don't see how they get to first degree. What evidence do they have it was premeditated? That's what I'm having the hardest time with. And everybody wants to always say premeditation doesn't have to be a long period of time. It can be just right before you make the decision. But usually you have to have time to reflect or think or plan, or there's lots of different ways to describe premeditation. Yes, it does not have to be for days or hours beforehand. It can be rather quick. But there still has to be some reflection. You can't snap and do it, right? You can't have that depraved heart reactionary killing. And I do think that they have struggled a little bit to prove that premeditation. Now, some people think some of the Google searches, especially some of the ones from December 25th and prior to December 31st, are good proof of that. Okay? And I have even had some struggler back and forth on what have they actually proven or what have they given to prove that he actually ended her life. And I think a lot of the evidence about what happened New Year's Eve, how they were all talking, and then they ended up the last two in the house. He's the only one with the opportunity. The amount of blood that was found, in my mind, have they proven that that's what can happen to somebody that's already predeceased is being dismembered? The broken teeth and some of the things he said like that. But also, some of these videos, to me, clicked in my head as, again, I'm thinking, how are they proving that this was not accidental? And what's clicking in my head here is not necessarily premeditation. Like that one, we'll see what they end up proving. But to me, I feel like they have proven at the very least that he ended her life. My opinion. Okay. And you guys can agree or disagree. But so here he is. Okay. Look at all the stuff he's getting. Completely normal. Now he's wearing a mask. Also wearing gloves, a little weird. This is not the height of COVID either. Like this is January of 23. But just, strange interaction. He's got the employee helping him. He's getting all of the tools. Okay. just to give you a little visual. It's creepy, it's weird. But then we get to this one, okay? And this to me is about as bad as it gets to have a visual of how he was looking on that day. He's got his son with him. He's literally going to pick up stuff to complete this horrible deed with his son, Anna Walsh's son, in Lowe's, okay? And he is going to, mess around with his son with the little, laser gun thing, which I don't blame him. My son and I would do the same thing. But then he's looking at himself in the camera. He's fixing his hair. It's just very strange and probably not something that I would expect somebody to do who's in shock. This is on January 4th, by the way. Look at him. Little smile to the camera, fixing his hair. How am I looking? Looking good. Needs help from somebody. His son wants to mess around with it. Like, to me, in my head, yeah, it made me sad too, but it also clicked like this is circumstantial evidence of his frame of mind 3 days after she passed. While he's calling all these people, very calm on the phone, saying, have you heard from her? Have you heard from her? I know she had this emergency back at work. Can you please go check the house? Sending people on a wild goose chase, lying to cops in interview after interview after interview with things that are so obviously lies. Doesn't look like somebody who's troubled by his wife's sudden death. I completely agree. And I don't like being a body language doctor myself, but when you're bringing that theory and theme of defense, I think it is absolutely fair game to see how are you acting afterwards. And the consciousness of guilt referring back to just days before, to me, is pretty strong here. And they continue to do that. He could have premeditated her M and not have planned the cover up. Absolutely. He could have. But have they proven that to you? The premeditation part is still something I don't feel like the Commonwealth has proven. But I do feel like they proved he took her life and covered it up and lied about it. That to me is where I'm at. You guys can agree or disagree. It's totally up to you. But that's how I feel. Can he be charged with the M but not premeditation? Only reason to panic if he's guilty of something. It can be second. I don't know if they're going to have the lesser included. But generally speaking, most jurisdictions have the lesser included of second degree M or manslaughter. Lynette, yes, Peter, the defense hurdle. How he could do awful things to a body he loved. My sis died in a crash, and though she had a donor card, it was agonizing for us to let them take part of her body. We did honor her wishes. I agree. And honestly, like, that's something that's happened. I understand what you guys are going through 100%. And I understand why you're saying that's difficult. And it's difficult for you knowing that that is something beautiful to potentially save somebody else's life or help somebody else's life, even in death. The sacrifice and the willingness to do that while you're alive and to make the decision that your sister did is a beautiful thing. Just like in humanity, it's a beautiful thing. Still brutal and still hard for you to even think about or imagine. So imagine this. Why would he do it if not to cover his own butt? Right? I get that. And I think the context they're presenting, it's not just one fact, because one fact, it would be very difficult for me to think they've proven much of anything. Agree he has to testify with the defense, but should he? No. He shouldn't testify, and this should not have been the defense, my opinion. It's just my opinion. Peter, let's do a survey. Will he testify? Kelsey, why don't you throw it up real quick, and you guys can take a look at it. Will he testify, yes or no? I'm almost done here. Jen said, people keep saying she spoke highly of him. From experience, you always do that with DV to stay on their good side. No negative gets back to them. Okay, and that's fine. And I mean, nothing is, always everybody acting the same. Okay, I don't like always and never. But what I would say is I do think it is unusual, DV or not, so it's hard. Victims act differently for different reasons, and it's hard to sometimes understand why they do because they're in situations they can't control and they don't know what the right thing to do is. And yes, sometimes they want to pacify. But to speak highly of him to someone she's having an affair with is very unusual to me. Because obviously, if you're really that scared of him and you're trying to pacify him, she's saying all sorts of things to this person she's having an affair with that if he was hurting her, she would be afraid of that getting back to him. That seems like somebody she might confide in if she hated him or had something bad to say about him. I could be wrong. That's part of my view. That's part of my view. So some people are saying he's too much of a narcissist to get on the stand. I don't feel like I've pegged his personality. Do you guys feel like you've pegged his personality? I don't know. Okay. I think that's all we got. So this was a big day to me for the Commonwealth. I thought they did really well today, even though it wasn't like a huge, strategic, like this is how we're going to win the case. But in my mind, they made some headway today. If the jury can disregard what he testifies to, if they believe he lied, couldn't they disregard if he goes up there and says, I didn't end my wife too? Absolutely. A criminal defendant is no different from the jury judging their credibility. And a lot of times, just like Alec Murdaugh, it's like everybody already admits he's not credible and he's a liar. So I don't know. He definitely should not testify. If they come to their senses and don't call him, that would be the right decision, but they will still lose, in my opinion. I think their only chance at winning with this theory is like a 0.1% chance that he convinces the jurors just one is all it really takes. Hit that like button if you guys haven't already. I'd really appreciate it. I would also appreciate it if you subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed so you can get in the mix with us. We've got a lot of cool things coming in 2026. Yes, so Ashley said, off topic, will you cover Miss Becky? I've seen some headlines. If you guys have any documents or videos, please send them my way. I had a crazy day today. It was really busy, long day. I'm tired. And watching this entire trial, on top of work it's always a lot. The wheels never stop turning when a trial is going on that I'm covering on YouTube, along with, all the other cases and stuff. But yeah, send me the stuff from Miss Becky and I will take a look at it. I know I saw some of you guys tag me on Twitter. No surprise there, but very interesting analysis to be done on what's going on with Miss Becky right now. So I will absolutely be covering that. Let me know in the comments if you will be watching that one, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss it when I drop that video. Thank you guys so much for being here. I appreciate you guys. I saw some of you in the chat saying you're using some of the stuff that sponsored us. I love it. I love to see that. I hope you like it. If you do, let me know. And I'll keep trying to get good things in front of you because I try everything before I talk about it. So I appreciate it. Love you guys. You're the best. Love this community so much. So thankful for it in 2025 and so excited to hang out more in 2026. But that's all we got. I'm going to go chill, watch a Christmas movie or something probably with my wife. But until next time, I am out of here. Thanks for watching another episode of The Lawyer You Know. If you enjoyed the episode, please hit the thumbs up and share with your friends who may be interested here on YouTube. And don't forget to subscribe. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, Facebook, and TikTok. And don't forget to check out the Lawyer You Know podcast featuring new episodes every week. And if you have a case that you want to personally talk to us about in your life, if it's a personal injury case, wrongful death, catastrophic injury, car accident, truck accident, or slip and fall case, please email us at lawyeryouknow@gmail.com. And of course, all these links I just mentioned are included in the description below on this episode and every episode. So until next time, this is Peter Tragos, The Lawyer You Know.